If you woke up as a millionaire, which is the first thing you would buy? Investments. First thing I do is move my money into my portfolio and build out my strategy. If done right, I may have enough in principle to live off my earnings and retire early. But even if it's not enough for that, like if it's only a couple million, I can let that grow and keep my job and just retire early. Having that safety net would be awesome. A plot of land in the mountains and build a cabin on it. Hopefully with a stream or something to fish, swim and kayak around. A herd of goats as nature's lawnmower. A donkey to duck up anything that wants at those goats. Some chickens for delicious eggs and meat. Nice sized garden with some fruit and nut trees around the property. 2 or 3 lazy porch dogs. Few beehives to pollinate and get some sweet honey. Wood shop. And top it all off with a nice wind chime. I will pay all my debts. And the debts of my family. Then get my son's college fund jump-started. A new car. A place to live. And a lawyer to fight for my children. Medical necessities for my fam who has cancer cause bitches insurance won't cover them. A house and car for my co-worker. She is literally the sweetest person I have ever met, and she deserves the world for her and her kids. She doesn't deserve how she's treated by the customers, and I wish I was able to give her the life that I grew up with. A cup of coffee, like every morning. Honestly, a millionaire isn't that remarkable anymore. According to some sources I'm seeing, there are about 6 million millionaires in the US right now. I think that by their definition I'd be one of them. And, I mean, it sure beats the alternative. But today it's just not that much money compared to the actual rich. The actual rich have many millions or billions. By contrast, millionaires now are just the upper middle class. They might drive a BMW, but they aren't buying yachts. That's why I always say that when we talk about wealth inequality, we have to remember that there is the 10% and the 1% and the 0.1%. And while I'm not going to cry about tax increases on the 10%, that's not where all the money went. They got a piece, but it's not the big piece. You want real money? Look to the 0.1%. So if I woke up as one of those guys, I'd probably still buy coffee, but then probably a Ferrari. Perhaps a boring answer, but investments. Buying a house is great, but it's not something you should do on a whim. So it's almost certainly not the first thing anyone would actually buy. If you buy a good balanced portfolio of investments, you will earn income without putting that $1 million in danger of being frittered away. Then you can feel free to quit your job if you want and take your time to figure out your new life. Because a sudden windfall like that has a tendency to impact people's social and family lives, their mental health, etc. There's a really nice cafe in town that sells breakfast bagels, so probably that. However, there would be several big purchases that would be next on the list. Reasonable sized house would be the first. Depends how many millions I have. Where I live, 1 mil would get you a 2-bedroom, maybe 2-bath. If it was like 10, a PS5, a house for my parents, and pay my own college grad school tuition, and save the rest. Services of a wealth management firm. I'm in no way equipped to make my own decisions of this nature, so would turn to an expert. Even if it costs me, I'd rather lower the risk than maximize profits. Because, duck it, I've got at least $1 million. Close bracket. My financial freedom. In paying off all my debts, and using the remainder to pay 1 year of rent in advance, and the rest into a savings or bond, where it will collect interest. Honestly, I just want to replace my broken third printer. Man, I can't use a supercar. I don't want to vacation through Europe. Maybe a pair of backup prosthetics in case something happens to my existing prosthetics. A powered wheelchair for days when I'm going to be doing a lot of moving around would be nice. And insurance doesn't cover them for me at all. A car. Basically been putting band-aids on my car just waiting for it to die in the middle of an intersection. But God, being a millionaire would change my family's life so much I can't even imagine. I'd invest it all. I could pay off my house, but I just refinanced at 3%, so I could probably get better returns on investments. I have some short-term loans, AC replacement for example, but they are 0% interest as long as I pay them off in 18 months. So kind of pointless. If I invested it, I could retire pretty soon. Depends on how many millions we are talking about, but a flat in the capital city of my country plus furniture and a gaming PC and a cookbook so I can finally learn to cook. Yes, I'm a chaotic and impulsive shopper. I'd buy around a dozen George Bush original paintings and give them to my family for Christmas. Just think it would be funny. A lot of houses to rent out and have a steady flow of income. I'd also invest in a range of stocks that pay high dividends. Once I have enough, I'd buy a business to have more steady income. A shotgun to fend off all the sneakerheads in my school trying to make me buy them the new Yeezys. Pay off all debts. Build my dream house and invest the rest. Having my dream house be debt free and still have a few 100k to invest would be awesome. A modest home and car. I would set as much aside as I could for my kids' education should they wish to pursue it. After that, a separate fund to ensure my family's well-being should I pass unexpectedly. My grandmother is still alive, so I would make sure she's taken care of in every way possible. After that, if there's any left depending on the amount, I would give it to the NLDAC, National Living Donor Assistance Center. Dump 425 of it into a portfolio to draw 5% return from. Net myself a salary of over 100k for the rest of my life. Then use the rest of it to do the same, but in an account that the rest of my fam can draw from. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.